have a food that does not work for your body, that you are leaving in your diet, it is going to create an inflammatory response in the body. If the body is fighting inflammation, it is not preoccupied with your focus on weight loss. Okay, if the body is dealing with a lot of things that it prioritizes over fat release, those hormones that are responsible for fat release are not going to be as active. You're not going to be able to tap into them. They're going to get blocked a little bit more if you're dealing with things that the body prioritizes. The thing that it is consumed with is the inflammatory response. It's a big deal in the body. So if you're dealing with foods in your diet that your body cannot handle any longer because you're overexposed to them, okay, because you've abused them and used them for as long as you can remember. And this starts to happen more for people in their late 20s and their early 30s, where they start saying, you know, I always was able to drink milk and I can't anymore. Or I never had a problem with XYZ and now I don't think it works for me. Or when I eat corn products, my knees or my joints hurt. I start to hear that with people, you know, in their late 20s, early 30s. So it's a build-up process, but also what we have to respect and acknowledge is that our food supply has changed. So what we're eating now is not what we were eating when we were younger, excuse me. It is a lot of times genetically modified foods, which cause problems, as well as foods that are exposed to pesticides and cancer creating aspects or residues or just contaminants that you weren't exposed to when you were younger. The food is more complicated, and certain foods that I box out of the Slim Down are worse than others. Okay, so things that I look at, and so just to sum this up because I don't have tons of time and I get away with the time here. Gluten products, gluten is wheat. People get very confused about this, but gluten is the protein that is in wheat products. So things like bread and pasta, crackers, gravies, packaged items, those things are going to have more gluten in them. Seasonings, so when you eat out, you can't be sure that things are gluten-free. When I say gluten-free, I just have to be very careful. I don't mean like now you eat a packaged gluten-free product. That was never what we intended. Because there are going to be problems inevitably with those gluten-free things that are made from all these different starches that are still carbohydrates that have been packaged to now fit with the gluten-free terminology, right? So you still have people abusing foods and eating things that aren't healthy for them that are gluten-free. So what I'm saying when I say gluten-free is I mean a non-gluten whole food product, okay? Food item. So gluten, corn's a problem, soy's a problem, dairy's a big problem because of things that I've mentioned previously. Peanut butter, peanuts are a huge problem. So in summary, foods that create an inflammatory response in the body are going to block fat loss. Now, I start with like 8 or 9 foods in the FRL Diva Slim Down, but when I work with people privately who have really serious like digestive issues and weight loss resistant, and they're committed and focused and they're following the program, sometimes there are subcategories. So there can be things like nightshades. People can't deal with mushrooms or tomatoes or potatoes. Those cause problems. There can be FODMAPs. There could be items that are high in oxalates. So when I say this, just because I think I'm known for, and the FRL Diva Slim Down is known for boxing out certain items, that doesn't mean that that is the limit. So what I want you to take away is I could have a food sensitivity. I could have a food sensitivity. I can have a food intolerance, not quite a food allergy, right, where I have this big response and, you know, anaphylactic, the swelling and can't breathe and all those things. But I could have a food intolerance. I could have foods that don't work for me. And when those foods don't work for my body, they create an inflammatory response. And when that occurs, that shows up on the scale, that water weight shows up on the scale. And 2, that inflammation process really blocks my body's ability to tap into fat release. That's what I want you to take